If someone asked me when the happiest time of my life was, I wouldn't choose graduation day. Not the day the flower shop opened. Not the day Mitchell and I cut the ribbon on our two shops standing side by side. It was those very ordinary days after we officially became a couple. Because happiness, in truth, rarely arrives through big events. It usually hides in things so small that if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. On the first day of being Mitchell's boyfriend, I woke up earlier than usual. The first thing I did was check my phone. A message had been sent at 6:12. Mitchell, good morning, boyfriend. I read it over and over, exactly 7 times. The corners of my mouth kept curling up. Lucas came out of the bathroom, drying his hair, and looked at me. Did you win the lottery?
No.
Then why are you grinning like you've lost your mind? I'm not grinning. You've been grinning since I started brushing my teeth. I immediately reached up to touch my face. Lucas burst out laughing. Stop. No use hiding it. You and Mitchell are together now, aren't you? I froze. How did you know? Lucas shrugged. I've known for 2 months. What? You two were the only ones who didn't know. I grabbed a pillow and hurled it straight at him. Lucas doubled over laughing. Told you. Outsiders can see it more clearly than the 2 leads. Mitchell had a very endearing habit. Every morning before class, he always left something for me. Some days it was a cookie. Some days a cup of coffee. Some days just a small note. Tuesday. I opened my textbook and found a cream-colored note tucked inside. The familiar handwriting appeared. Good luck on your test today. If you get nervous, remember to breathe deeply. I believe in you. I stared at that word. Mitchell had never called himself that with me before in that way. I didn't know why. Just one tiny pronoun choice. And yet it made my heart go soft. That evening, I ran over to the greenhouse. Mitchell was watering the plants. I held up the note. You. When did you start talking to me like that? Mitchell blushed instantly. You read it. I did. Was it a mistake? Mitchell shook his head.
No.
He looked down at his shoes. Wanted to try it. I stepped closer. Hey. From now on, I'll call you Love too. Mitchell's head shot up. He saw me smiling. He smiled back. No need to say anything more. Just a new way of addressing each other. Had already changed our whole world. We kept our relationship a secret for almost a month. Not out of shame, but because we both wanted to be sure. Even though America had become much more open, there were still people at school who held on to their prejudices. Mitchell once asked me, if everyone found out, would you be scared? I held his hand under the library table. Yes. Mitchell squeezed my hand gently. Me too. But I looked straight into his eyes. I'm more afraid of losing you. Mitchell didn't say anything. He just smiled softly. That gentle smile was always the most beautiful answer. At the end of the semester, the school held an art department exhibition. Mitchell had to display his final project. He'd been anxious since early morning. Tanner. What if nobody likes it? I like it. I mean the judges. I still like it. You're biased. I am. Mitchell laughed. I'm not objective. I don't need to be objective. When we got to the exhibition hall, I finally understood why Mitchell had been so worried. Among dozens of works, he hadn't just arranged a single vase of flowers. He had built an entire miniature garden. White roses, buttercups, eucalyptus, lavender, dried branches, soft yellow light. In the middle sat an old wooden chair. Beside it, a small placard. Some people walk into our lives like spring. They don't change the world. They just make it bloom. I stood there, silent. Mitchell. Did you write that? Yeah. It's beautiful. Mitchell scratched his head. Actually, you're the inspiration. I turned to look at him. That chair is from the first time we sat and talked in the greenhouse. And the white flowers are because you once said they made you feel at peace. I choked up. Mitchell remembered everything. Things so small that even I had forgotten them. The judging ended. The professor walked over to Mitchell. This is beautiful work. Thank you. But I'm curious. Who inspired you? Mitchell didn't answer. He just turned to look at me. The professor smiled as if he understood. Well then, make sure you hold on to that person tightly. Beautiful work can always be made again. But someone who makes your heart bloom, you don't always get a second chance at that. I looked at Mitchell. Mitchell looked back at me. No need to hold hands. No need to hug. Just one look was enough for us both to understand. We had chosen the right person. But neither Mitchell nor I knew. After the upcoming winter break, something was going to happen. Something that, for the first time since we'd fallen in love, would force us to learn to love not just with feeling, but with trust. That winter break, Mitchell went home with his family to a small coastal town in Oregon. I flew back to Portland to stay with my mother. For the first time, we had to do long distance. Just 3 weeks. It sounded like nothing. But for two people who'd just fallen in love, 3 weeks felt as long as 3 months. On the first day, Mitchell video called me at exactly 8 o'clock in the evening. Tanner. I miss you. I laughed. We've only been apart for 10 hours. Still miss you. Mitchell. What? You're too cute. Mitchell blushed instantly. Don't tease me. Why not? Because you know it embarrasses me. Yeah. I know. In the days that followed, we kept up a routine. Texting each other good morning. Video calling every night. Some nights we didn't say much at all. Just left the phone on the desk. Each of us doing our own thing. Mitchell arranging flowers in his parents' workshop. Me reading materials to prepare for the new semester. Every now and then I'd look up, see that he was still there. That alone was enough. One evening, I watched Mitchell arranging a bouquet of white flowers. Who's it for? A customer's order. It's beautiful. Mitchell smiled. You know. What? Every time I arrange a wedding bouquet, I always think, if we ever got married one day, I'd make my own bouquet. I froze. Mitchell. Did you just say, married? Mitchell blinked. Yeah. Is that strange? I looked at him through the screen. A very strange feeling crept into my heart. Warm, peaceful, and real. Tanner. Your silence is scaring me. I laughed. I was just imagining something. Imagining what? A flower shop. Mitchell tilted his head. And, next to it, Tanner. A bookshop. I laughed. Right? Mitchell burst out laughing. Why a bookshop out of nowhere? Because you like flowers. And I like books. Seems fitting. Mitchell looked at me for a long time. You. I like that idea. Let's open them together. I had no idea. That offhand conversation that night would later become the dream we'd spend nearly 10 years working toward. On the last day of break, I went to the airport to pick Mitchell up. His flight landed at 3 in the afternoon. I stood waiting near the gate. The crowd filed out one by one. Then I saw him, Mitchell pulling his suitcase with one hand, the other arm wrapped around a fairly large paper box. The moment he saw me, he beamed. He didn't run, just walked faster. Standing in front of me, the first thing he said was, "You've gotten thinner." I laughed. "So have you." "No." Mitchell shook his head. "I missed you." Then, in front of hundreds of passing people, he threw his arms around me. I was a little surprised. "Mitchell." "What? This is an airport." "Yeah. There are a lot of people." "I know. You don't mind." Mitchell looked up, his gray-blue eyes as gentle as ever. "Hugging the person you love. Why would I mind?" I didn't answer. I just held him tighter. In that moment, I knew I loved Mitchell even more than I'd realized. The new semester began. We moved out of the dorms, rented a small apartment about a 10-minute walk from school. Not to live together as a couple. We each still had our own room. We just shared the place with 2 other friends to save on costs. On moving day, Mitchell brought over 30 potted plants. Lucas looked at the pile of plants and put his head in his hands. "Mitchell. Are you trying to plant a forest in here? Mitchell laughed.
No.
I only brought the essential ones. Lucas pointed at the row of plants stretching from the door to the kitchen. This is essential? Mitchell nodded very seriously. This one purifies the air. That one reduces stress. That one helps you sleep. And this one. Lucas turned to me. Tanner. Save me. I burst out laughing. I give up. Mitchell was the only person I'd ever met who could talk to his plants every morning. And the funny thing was, I never once found it strange. One afternoon in late February, I got out of class early, so I stopped by the art department to find Mitchell. The greenhouse was empty. I walked in, didn't see him. I was about to turn back when I heard voices from further inside. I really like you. It was a guy's voice. I froze in place. Mitchell, could you give me a chance? My heart pounded. Through the rows of pots, I saw a tall guy standing across from Mitchell. Mitchell looked quite taken aback. He shook his head.
I'm sorry.
Why? Because. Mitchell smiled very softly. My heart already belongs to someone else. Who is he? Mitchell was quiet, then answered softly. Someone who drinks an Americano every morning. Someone who hates flowers but always pretends to enjoy listening to me talk about them. Someone who isn't good with sweet words, but always shows up whenever I need him. I love him. I have for a long time. I stood behind the row of plants, smiling. I didn't step out. I wanted to keep that moment in my heart just as it was, because I had never heard Mitchell talk about love that openly before. A few minutes later, the other guy left. Mitchell sighed. Just as he turned around, he startled. Tanner. I stepped out. You knew I was standing there?
No.
I heard everything. Mitchell's face went instantly red. You. I stepped closer. Didn't say anything. Just held him amid the scent of hundreds of blooming flowers. Then whispered by his ear. I love you too. Every day. A little more than the day before. Mitchell smiled softly. It was the happiest smile I'd ever seen. But neither of us knew that our real challenge no longer lay in admitting our love, but in choosing our future. With just over a year left, we would both graduate, and our dreams were about to head down very different paths. There's a question every graduating senior hates. What are you going to do after graduation? First, I answered quickly. Find a stable job. But the closer graduation got, the vaguer that answer became. I started getting emails from big companies in Portland and Seattle after my internships. Attractive salaries, clear paths for advancement. Exactly what I'd been chasing throughout college. Mitchell got plenty of offers too. Not from corporations, but from landscape design studios, event planning companies, and well-known flower shops. We both had very wide-open futures ahead of us. There was just one problem. Those futures weren't in the same city. One evening, Mitchell and I sat on the apartment balcony. Spring had just arrived. The air still held a slight chill. Mitchell hugged his knees, looking at the distant lights. Love. If I went to work in New York, what would you do? I laughed. I'd buy a plane ticket. I'm being serious. So am I. Mitchell turned to look at me. If you went to Seattle, I'd move there too. What if we both got our dream jobs? I couldn't answer. It was the first time in over a year of being together that we realized love alone wasn't enough. A week later, the department held a career fair. The whole hall filled with company booths. Recruiters in sharp suits, constantly pitching career opportunities. I just finished an interview when I heard someone call out. Tanner. It was Mitchell. He ran over out of breath. I just got offered a paid internship. Congratulations. In Chicago. The smile on my lips froze. Oh. Mitchell noticed my reaction. You're not happy?
No.
I shook my head right away. I'm happy. Really. But we both understood. Chicago was over 3,000 kilometers from Portland. That evening, we got home very late. Neither of us brought up the job again. While we were eating dinner, Lucas suddenly asked, Where are you two planning to live after graduation? Mitchell and I looked at each other. Neither of us spoke. Lucas frowned. Don't tell me you two haven't even discussed it. Mitchell laughed awkwardly. We're discussing it. Lucas rested his chin on his hand. Let me ask you seriously. If you had to choose, on one side, a career, on the other, the person you love, what would you choose? The kitchen went completely silent. I looked down at my plate. Mitchell said nothing either. Lucas sighed. See, neither of you can answer that. In the days that followed, we were both busy. I went to interviews. Mitchell finished his graduation project. We still saw each other every day, still held hands, still ate dinner together. But each of us carried an unspoken worry. One night, I woke up at 2 in the morning, saw the living room light still on. Mitchell was sitting alone at the dining table. On the table, a notebook and a lot of loose papers. You're still up? Mitchell startled. Did I wake you?
No.
I pulled up a chair and sat down. What are you doing? Mitchell quickly closed the notebook. Nothing. I smiled. You're a terrible liar. Mitchell was quiet for a few seconds, then pushed the notebook toward me. Just look for yourself. I opened it. On the first page, one line written in large letters. Mitchell's Flower Shop. I looked up. Mitchell looked a little embarrassed. I'm just dreaming. I flipped to the next page. A sketch of a small storefront. Lots of glass windows. A white awning. Pots of flowers set out front. Every detail drawn with great care. It's beautiful. Mitchell smiled. I drew it freshman year. You still kept it? Yeah. Why didn't you tell me? Because. Mitchell lowered his head. I thought opening a flower shop was just a childish dream. I kept flipping. In one corner of the sketch, there was another storefront, smaller. The sign read, Book Corner. I froze. Mitchell. What's this? Mitchell bit his lip. A bookshop. For you to open. I stared at him without blinking. You drew this freshman year? Yeah. But back then, I hadn't even told you I liked books. Mitchell laughed. You forgot. The day we met. You were clutching that signed novel like your life depended on it. I thought, if you ever did what you loved one day, you'd probably open a bookshop. I choked up. Mitchell had been thinking about our future together since before we'd even fallen in love. Why put the bookshop right next to the flower shop? I asked very softly. Mitchell smiled. So that every morning, all I'd have to do is open the door, and I'd see you. I don't know why, but just that one sentence made my eyes sting. I took Mitchell's hand. Love. If someday this dream comes true, I promise, I'll come buy a bouquet every single day. Mitchell laughed and shook his head.
No.
Why not? It's your flower shop. You're not a customer there. Then what am I? Mitchell squeezed my hand gently. You're home. I pulled Mitchell into my arms. In that small kitchen with only the ticking of the clock. For the first time in weeks, I no longer felt afraid of the future, because I suddenly understood what mattered wasn't what jobs we'd end up doing, but whether we'd still choose to walk that path together. And the answer had been right in front of us all along. From the night Mitchell showed me that sketchbook, we stopped avoiding the topic of the future. Instead, every night we set aside at least an hour to talk about it. Not with empty promises, but with paper, pen, and real numbers. Mitchell got a new notebook. On the cover, he wrote in beautiful handwriting, Our plan. I looked at those words and laughed. Sounds like a startup project. Mitchell shrugged. It basically is. Just one difference. This is the project I want to spend my whole life on. The first page of the notebook held a question. If we weren't afraid of failing, what would we do? Mitchell handed me the pen. You go first. I thought for a long time. Finally wrote just one line. Open a place people want to come back to. Mitchell read it and smiled. Your turn. He bent down and wrote. Open a place where you'll always be. I looked at him. Mitchell. You're really good at making people emotional. Mitchell scratched his head. I just write what I think. In the weeks that followed, our apartment slowly turned into a miniature office. The living room walls covered in sticky notes, financial spreadsheets, lists of suitable cities, even some silly shop name ideas. I read one note. Bloom and brew. Mitchell laughed. Not good. We're not selling coffee. Oh right. I picked up another. Petals Forever? Sounds like a band name. Mitchell laughed out loud. What do you think then? I wrote on the board. Mitchell's Flowers. Mitchell looked at it and shook his head.
No.
Why not? I don't want to use my own name. Then what? Mitchell was quiet for a moment. I want flowers and books to both be the main characters. I looked at him. Meaning, customers coming for flowers. We'll walk right past the bookshop too. Customers coming for books. We'll catch the scent of flowers too. Two places. But one feeling. I suddenly realized. Mitchell didn't just want to open a shop. He wanted to create a corner of the neighborhood. A place that made people slow down. Early May. The school announced the schedule for graduation project defenses. A tense atmosphere spread across campus. Everyone was swamped. Mitchell practically lived in the greenhouse. I was in the computer lab from morning to night. Some days we only saw each other for 10 minutes before bed. One night, I got back to the apartment around 1 in the morning. Mitchell had fallen asleep at his desk. Beside him, the final design. I gently draped a blanket over his shoulders. Just then, Mitchell opened his eyes. You're back. Yeah. What time is it? Almost 1. Mitchell checked the clock and sighed. I fell asleep without meaning to. I ran my hand through his hair. Let's go to bed. Mitchell shook his head. Not yet. Why not? It's due tomorrow. I still need to adjust the lighting. I pulled up a chair and sat down. Hand it here. What? I'll help. You don't know anything about this. I don't. But I'm here. Mitchell looked at me. The corners of his eyes went slightly red. Thank you. That night I didn't help with much. Mostly cutting boards, making coffee, and reminding Mitchell to take a 5-minute break every hour. But as morning approached, he suddenly said, You know, I used to think
An Idealpartner
was someone who understood everything about you. Mitchell smiled. Now I don't think that's true. It's someone willing to sit beside you, even if they don't understand any of it. I laughed. Are you saying I'm useless? Mitchell laughed too.
No.
I mean, just having you here is enough. Graduation came faster than we expected. The whole campus glowed with the blue-black of caps and gowns. Parents packed the square.
Camera shutters clicked non-stop.
I looked around, finally spotted Mitchell. He was running toward me, arms full of a huge bouquet of sunflowers. Congratulations. Mitchell handed me the bouquet. I was surprised. Why sunflowers? Mitchell smiled. You forgot. The first day we met. You were carrying sunflowers too. I laughed. That's right. Was that on purpose? Yeah. I wanted everything to come full circle. Right back where it started. Pulled him into a hug. In the middle of the crowded square. This time I didn't care who was watching. My mother stood not far off. She smiled, quietly raised her camera and took a photo. Later, that became my favorite picture. Not because we looked good, but because of the look in Mitchell's eyes as he looked at me. There was such steady belief in it, as if he had already seen the future. That evening, after the ceremony, our friends threw a small party. Lucas raised his glass. All right, to 4 years of college. Everyone clinked glasses. A moment later, Lucas looked at Mitchell and me. Now, the final question. You too. Where are you headed tomorrow? Mitchell and I looked at each other.